Al Jazeera Podcasts.
Today, the Copa America. It's a star-studded football tournament being hosted in the U.S. But coaches have been fired, many stadiums haven't filled up, and one of the semifinals ended with a brawl between players and fans. So has the tournament been a PR disaster for football in the U.S.? I'm Malika Bilal, and this is The Take. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Copa America, it's South America's football championship. And historically, the teams in it are only from South America. But this year's Copa also has countries from North America and the Caribbean.
Teams like Mexico, the US, Canada, Costa Rica, Panama, Jamaica.
And it's been happening all across the United States. It's a dress rehearsal of sorts for the 2026 World Cup, which will be hosted by the US, Mexico, and Canada. The final is on Sunday, and whether you're a fan or not, you've probably heard of one player who'll be there.
The best player of the world, el mejor del mundo, Leo Messi, campeón del mundo, Argentina.
At the age of 37, Lionel Messi is in the twilight of his playing career. But he's led Argentina to Sunday's final against Colombia, and he draws a crowd like nobody else.
I'm not old enough to know about Beatles mania or anything like that, but it seems like that, a sort of rock star, godlike figure. People just want to touch him, right? People just want to say that they saw him. I'm John Arnold, a reporter who covers soccer in the United States and the CONCACAFed region. I've written for places like ESPN, The Guardian, BBC, and my own newsletter, Getting CONCACAFed.
So, John, explain what it is like to go to a Lionel Messi match in the United States, because I know that you have been to at least 10. Is that right?
Yeah, something around there. It's so interesting when you go to a Messi match, especially in the U.S. I think everyone would expect when you go to an Argentina game, in Argentina, everyone's wearing the blue and white jersey. Everyone's got Messi's name and number on the back. But that's the case in the U.S., and it's so fascinating to see. Some people have purchased jerseys through the official store. They look quite nice. Some people have purchased from the gentleman on the street corner who's done his best, but maybe can't replicate that quality. It doesn't matter to most fans. They just want to have Messi's name on the back of their shirt, and they want to see Messi and cheer for Messi and, you know, even spot a glimpse of him when he leaves the bus.
No.
It's so chaotic. There was a Spanish journalist who came over to cover the Copa America, but a big part of his goal was to wish Messi happy birthday. His birthday fell during the tournament, the night before a game, and he was invited into the hotel and was moved to tears. Messi provokes this emotion in people where this guy, he's crying as though it was one of the most important moments of his life, and I'm sure he would say that it is.
Yeah, that's incredible. So there's been a lot of buzz then, naturally, given what you're saying, around Messi and Argentina's matches at this Copa America. Packed stadiums from New Jersey to Miami and Houston, fans willing to pay hundreds of dollars to see a living legend. But then you turn on some of the other matches, and you might see the camera panning to show lots of empty seats. This is something you've reported on. Can you talk a little bit about how this year's Copa America has fallen short of expectations, perhaps, in some ways, even for countries with strong fan bases?
Yeah, some of the fan bases have really come through and have paid these high prices. Messi and Argentina are a show. Colombia, their fans have filled every stadium. Some of the start times have been weird. It hasn't mattered. Colombian fans have been there. But some of the other fan bases that we know exist in the U.S., Mexico fans, massive, massive group in the U.S., even U.S. fans. My perception has been that they've either been priced out or there's other reasons that they haven't necessarily gone to these games. Peruvian fans are some of my favorites. When I was at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, it was the first World Cup they'd been to in a long, long time. For me, they were the best fans on the ground. And they were good fans in the U.S., but when you went to some of the games, you understood why maybe the Peruvian fans weren't able to fill stadiums like they have in past occasions.
What makes a good fan?
Well, I would say all fans are good fans, but I think a good fan base in general, where you look and say, oh my goodness, these guys are absolutely crazy, is kind of a communal atmosphere. If people are able to come together before a game and sing, if there are drums and horns, the kind of passion that I think people stereotype soccer with, it's kind of legitimate, right? The Peruvian fans have been so joyful. They sing together. At this tournament, one of their games kicked off at 5 p.m. local time in Kansas City at an outdoor stadium where the heat index was above 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
An assistant referee during the match fainted.
The Guatemalan official Humberto Panjaj fainted at the touchline in stoppage time of the first half after, due to the searing Kansas temperatures and humidity at the Children's Mercy Park.
He had to get medical attention because it's really difficult to work in that environment. So if you're a Peru fan and maybe you live in Miami or maybe you live in the East Coast, you might not want to travel to Kansas City, spend a lot of money, take days off work. And then if you do make that journey, you are asked to sit in this insufferable heat. So I think a lot of the organizational decisions made by CONMEBOL, the governing body of South American soccer, made this tournament fall short of what it could have been, which I think is an opportunity for people to understand more about what the game means in the U.S. to immigrant communities, to non-immigrant communities, to all fans of the sport here. It feels to me that this Copa America was designed to sort of cater to those who want to see and be seen, influencers on social media, people who have wealth and can fly from some of the South American countries participating, and those in the US who have, quote unquote, made it. But the reality is soccer is a game for everyone, and one of its charms is the fact that everyone can play. So to me, that's the real shame of this tournament is I think it will go down for organizers as a big success. The final with Messi is going to sell out.
Wow, okay.
All the Messi games sold out. But I think when we look a little deeper, we'll say, what a missed opportunity to get more communities involved, to get more people involved, to get more fans in the stands at the maybe expense of paying one or two big ticket prices. It just feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah. You mentioned the ticket prices being one of the detractions, perhaps, for fans coming from afar. What are we talking?
When I've seen games that I wouldn't consider, quote unquote, sexy, I don't know if I'm allowed to say something like that.
You're
The matchups that are like, ooh, wow, this is an amazing game. Games that are not in that category, I haven't seen get lower than $150 as the get-in price. There was a game in Arlington at AT&T Stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play. That facility is in the same area as the Texas Rangers Major League Baseball team. And I looked to see what the ticket price was for Copa America, the soccer match, and it was $150 to get in. At the same time, there was a Texas Rangers baseball game happening where the get-in price was $9 American. Now, of course, baseball, there's 162 games each year. It happens so frequently that, the price is going to be a little lower just by the law of supply and demand. But I was thinking, if you're a casual sports fan in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you want to take your family, for the price of one Copa America ticket, you could have gotten your entire family into the Rangers game, paid your parking spot because you don't really have public transit to get there, paid for your dinner, and probably had a drink or two as well.
Yeah, and you said that was for some of the cheaper games. How much for the Messi ones?
I haven't seen anything yet for this final, but Miami, Argentina, Colombia, I would be surprised if people are able to get in for less than $500 per seat, and maybe could be more. That's a final, so that's a big ticket event. But a lot of the games, I think, are starting at a much higher ticket price, and that's just to get in. If you want to get a little lower, if you want to have a chance to actually capture Messi without the 10 times zoom on your cell phone camera, you're looking at, $750, $1,000, or maybe more.
After the break, how the host team fared in this tournament and what it might mean for the 2026 World Cup. So, John, one thing that happened Wednesday night, not that unusual in the world of football, yet not a thing that the tournament will want to show as a shining example of a success. And I'm talking about the brawl that broke out on the pitch and in the stands after a Colombia-Uruguay match.
Players from Uruguay, at least a few of them, entering the stands and confronting Colombian fans. Supporters tossing drinks, lots of punches being tossed as well.
Can you talk to me about what happened there?
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Yeah. So Uruguay and Colombia contested a very physical, heated Copa America semifinal. Colombia ended up taking the victory. And after the match, Uruguayan players went to greet their families, as they often do after a game, and found that they were being sort of physically confronted by Colombia fans. It was a very pro-Colombia stadium. Colombia in general, just a country with a much, much larger population than Uruguay. And they'd been great all tournament, filling stadiums, cheering. It's been a really special tournament for Colombia, which is back in the final for the first time since 2001, which is when they hosted the tournament on home soil and won the tournament. But these fans were confronting Uruguayan players, families, loved ones. There were small children involved, and the Uruguay players felt that they needed to go into the stands and physically protect their loved ones.
Wow.
So, yes, it is an unfortunate reality of the game, specifically in the Americas, that we often have fights between fans, but players do not usually fight fans. We're still waiting to see exactly what the organizers will do as far as disciplinary measures, but they're quite ugly scenes.
So, to sum up, we've got high ticket prices, terrible starting times, extreme heat. We've got stadiums that aren't exactly full. We've got this brawl. This was supposed to be a preview, a dress rehearsal of sorts for the 2026 World Cup. Is this what we can expect? Does this give you pause?
Yeah, actually, no, it doesn't give me pause. And I think the good news is that FIFA, the governing body for world soccer, runs the World Cup. And they've always run the World Cup well, at least the ones that I've attended. FIFA has its problems, right? But the reason that it's sort of a necessary evil in a lot of ways when it comes to global soccer is because we all love the World Cup and they organize it well. It usually goes off without a hitch, and that fact means that we're sort of willing to accept the bad that sometimes comes with FIFA with the good of this festival of soccer, the absolute joy of sport, of the world coming together, of what it means on the field and off, of fans usually not fighting, but hugging, trading jerseys and scarves and pins before games. That magic of the World Cup, I think, will permeate the U.S. in 2026. But to me, that's why 2024's Copa America feels like such a missed opportunity. Don't get me wrong, it's been fun too. There have been amazing moments on the field. There have been great moments in the stands of fans doing the types of things that we want to see them doing at the World Cup. Singing and dancing in the parking lot before the game, before they head into the stadium, having nice moments with players, having nice moments with each other. But when you talk about organization, I just think that level of organization that FIFA has is going to make it a success and much more organized in a way that Copa America wasn't. Real quick, when I was in Kansas City for a match, I saw multiple billboards and advertisements saying there's a big soccer tournament in the summer. It wasn't for Copa America, which is happening right then, which people could have bought tickets for and gone to that night. It was for the World Cup in 2026. I think that difference of people knowing 2 years in advance, hey, the biggest show in the world is coming to your city, it's going to get people excited. It's going to increase that knowledge. Where Copa America, in a lot of ways, if people understood what it was, they may not have even realized it was happening in their city.
So, John, as you mentioned there, the U.S. is one of the host nations of the 2026 World Cup. And the U.S. especially has been trying to build up its program for years. But the results of that were not shown in this Copa America. They went out in the first round, the group stage, and on Wednesday, the team's coach, Greg Berhalter, was fired. Where is U.S. soccer going to go from here?
Well, that's a good question, because one of the reasons I think that Greg Berhalter held on to his job as long as he did is there's no obvious replacement to follow him. What gives fans inspiration and hope is that this generation of players truly seem to have benefited from U.S. soccer's planning and setup for the last decade. This performance in Copa America has definitely dampened some of the enthusiasm, but I think people still have huge expectations that in 2026, the U.S. could compete, not just to get out of the World Cup group, but maybe to make a deep run into the tournament, maybe even to think about lifting that trophy. But of course, It's going to take the right person to lead. The manager decision is a huge one for the U.S. because it's going to be the person that leads them to this home World Cup where everyone's going to be watching. And if the team falls flat like they did in this summer's tournament, it would just be a massive disappointment that I think when you're a soccer fan in the U.S., it feels very existential. If the U.S. men's and women's national teams are performing well, which the women typically have, then everyone will fall in love with my sport. My sport will keep growing because in the U.S., there's American football, baseball, basketball, even ice hockey that are ahead of soccer when it comes to the pecking order.
Yep.
And you always feel like if soccer could kind of break through, then we could all be watching on the big screen. When I go down to my local restaurant, they'd be showing the soccer game I want to watch instead of a baseball game I don't care about. So it always feels very personal for soccer fans in the US. And that's why I think there's such a big expectation in 2026. We'll see if the right person shows up to lead them to some sort of impressive tournament.
Well, finally, John, while the Copa America has been going on, there's been another international tournament happening in Germany. I'm talking about the Euros, which is Europe's continental football tournament. There are huge fan zones, viral sensations like this saxophone player in Germany who gets crowds going with his music. Are the Euros a better example of an international football tournament that is showing the passion for the game, that is well organized, something in the vein of what the World Cup usually does?
I think the frustration for those of us who love the sport in the Americas, from Canada down to Argentina and Chile, is that the Euros feel like they've been a better representation of the passion people have for soccer. The sax guy, the Dutch fans jumping back and forth. People crowding the streets, filling cities, all wearing the same jersey in the stands have been fantastic. The Euros really have been an image of what we think about when we think about a beautiful international soccer scene. The frustration is that we have that too in the Americas, in the US, in Canada, in Latin America. And yet it doesn't feel like fans have been able to show that. It doesn't feel like that's been sort of a seed that's been watered. It feels like it's been discouraged, that kind of passion and energy. There's so many different factors. We touched on a lot of them in our conversation, but the real shame of this tournament in a lot of ways is that we all know that South America loves soccer, that these invited teams from the North American, Central American region, we love soccer. It's just been tough to show that passion in a way that breaks through. So my hope is that in 2026, we'll all get a chance to show that when we all come together in North America, that the beautiful uniting force of this sport is on display. But I do think that the Euros have been so fun. And there's definitely an element of FOMO when you look and you say, man, why is this not happening here? So in a lot of ways, I do think that the Euros have kind of put a weird light on Copa America and I think show some of the steps that organizers have to take to reach that level.
Yeah. Well, John, I said that was the last question, but I'm going to go into extra time, if you will. Just one more. What is your Sunday going to look like? How are you going to show your passion on Sunday?
Well, I don't know how passionate it is because my plan is to just sit on the couch. You got the afternoon Euro game and then the Copa America final at night. I'm really excited. I will say I'm going to take my wife for a coffee in the morning.
Before you're glued to the screen.
Everyone's invited to watch the soccer, but my wife, she doesn't really like it that much. So we'll have a coffee, we'll chat. I'll tell her a little bit about what's going on, and then we'll take in the scenes. I do think, when we talk about the passion, I think the scenes in Miami are going to be able to match the scenes in Berlin. Look, a Copa America final in Miami between Argentina and Colombia, if the color and the passion doesn't match up with other matches, then something was done horribly wrong.
And that's The Take. This episode was produced by Ashish Malhotra and Mohammed Zain Shafi Khan, with Noor Wazwaz, Duha Mosaad, Manahil Naveed, Veronique Eshaya, and me, Malika Bilal. It was edited by Alexandra Locke. Alex Roldan is our sound designer. Joe Plourde mixed this episode. Alexandra Locke is The Take's executive producer, and Ney Alvarez is Al Jazeera's head of audio. We'll be back tomorrow.